Well, dear fans and viewers and enemies, we are on TV bringing you a special new show called Analyzing Tucker. And my partner in crime is none other than Michelle Toth.
Yes, that's me. Thanks, Claude. I appreciate being your partner in crime.
And we're excited because we are fans of Tucker.
Yep.
And not that we have to agree with everything that he says and he's done, but at the end of the day, I don't think anybody out there has better writing,
No.
truth, and sarcasm, especially in the world that we live in today.
That's true. That's
In
true.
fact, his truth got him basically fired.
Yes, that's right.
And
He definitely pulls no punches.
Exactly. And so we decided, well, you know what? There might be some people out there who may not be on Twitter, and so why not get what he's writing about? Because it all starts with his writing. If you listen
Right.
to the latest interviews he's done, it's so important what he's talking about. These are the subjects that, as we know, almost no journalist today is actually attempting to talk about. And we're starting to realize how, little by little, why maybe he was taken off the air. Not
Yeah,
because he was
absolutely.
bad, not because he was the guy on Fox News that nobody watched.
Right. Absolutely.
It
He was number one.
It was number one. It's not like he didn't have a real audience following him, and sometimes that was the only thing they would watch on Fox News.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So at the end of the day, it's about the content, and his content was bothering somebody. Who could it be bothering? Maybe the military complex?
I don't know. I think he had a lot of supporters in the military community
But not
for the
those,
soldiers.
but not those making money
No,
with war.
absolutely not.
Because if you
No.
are against the Ukraine,
Yes,
support, that means you don't want these companies to make all that money
that's right.
supplying the arms to the Ukraine. I guess the guy who runs the country now, was it the guy that I saw in the video dressed as a woman dancing around a few years ago?
Yep, there you go.
That's the guy that's getting our trillions of dollars. Anyway, so whatever reason that Tucker was forced off of Fox News, we've seen the work that he does on Twitter. And I said, you know what? We need to make sure that what he's doing, people get to see. And we can sit there and discuss it. Because I think that he's a very smart guy. He writes at a very high level. He has a way of nuance and double messaging and things like that they can go right by you. And I think it takes, I know I'm going to have fun going through what he's saying and try to better understand it and maybe share that with our viewers. And I think I've convinced Michelle to do the same thing.
Yeah, you did.
So, without further ado, while you're having your Mountain Dew, we're going to go ahead and put on one of the latest shows he's done, the episode 8, actually. We're going to play that for you now, and we're going to come back, and we're going to analyze Tucker.
Okay, sounds great.
Here we go.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. Belmont Hill is a small private school outside of Boston. It's not famous for its athletics. The school's mascot isn't even an animal. It's an 18th century navigational tool, the Belmont Hill Sextants. Doesn't even make sense. So when it comes to sports, Belmont Hill is not trying very hard. But the school's athletic program can claim at least one important footnote to history. In 1975, its football roster contained two names that you will recognize even now, Mark Milley and Richard Levine. Milley is now the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Levine, of course, is our country's most famous admiral. Both transitioned late in life into overweight middle-aged women. Both wound up working as high-level officials in the Joe Biden administration. Their teammates at the all-boys school in Boston probably wouldn't have predicted any of that. Here's what Rick Levine looks like now from a video he just posted on Instagram.
Hello, my name is Admiral Rachel Levine, and I have the honor of being the Assistant Secretary for Health at the United States Department of Health and Human Services. Happy Pride! Happy Pride Month, and actually, Let's declare it a summer of pride. Happy Summer of Pride.
Happy Summer of Pride! Rick Levine is so darn proud he'd like to tell you about it all summer and possibly into the fall. He's got a lot to be proud of. What specifically, you ask? Well, strangely, he doesn't say. Nor does he mention his former wife or children. He doesn't tell us whether they're proud too. Since none of them have been invited onto the Today Show to talk about their feelings, we're going to have to guess. For now, we're going to assume that his former family is proud. And why wouldn't they be? Few Americans in our history has come as far as Rick Levine. Here's a fat guy in a Halloween costume who somehow became a federal health minister. Not a small thing, you try that. Not too long ago, this same man was a married pediatrician with kids, lecturing about eating disorders at Penn State. Now he's emerged as a path-breaking Lady Admiral with medals on his chest. And he did all of that without winning a single naval battle, or even being female. It's pretty inspiring. What we have here is living proof that in this country, you really can be whatever you want to be. If Rick Levine can become Admiral Rachel, why can't you be Napoleon? Or Lord Mountbatten, the last Viceroy of India? Ever see that guy's uniform? Or why not Shaka, the legendary Zulu war chief? You could bring your assegai and leopard hide shield to work at Deloitte and no one would be allowed to say a word about it. The HR department would have your back. Unfortunately, you can't actually do any of that. The point of Rick Levine's amazing transformation is not to free you from the inflexible husk that you were born in so that you can be more fully yourself, whatever you decide that is. No, that's not the point. Rick Levine's personal journey has nothing to do with you. It's about him. It's his journey. Your fantasies about becoming something totally new and different have not been approved yet. In fact, they're weird. Shaka, the Zulu war king? Come on, that's racist. Shut up and be proud of Admiral Rachel.
I, Rachel L. Levine.
She's the one who has smashed glass ceilings. You just got some kind of weird fetish. So actually, now that we're saying this out loud, it's pretty clear that Rick Levine has no interest in liberating you from anything. This is not about liberation. It's just the opposite. It's just another religious war, same as all the others. The people who think they're God versus everybody else. In primitive civilizations, which would include every civilization since the beginning of time until ours, people assumed there were rules that no human being made, but that people could ignore only at their peril, at great risk. Some called these rules nature, or natural law, or even, as societies advanced, theology. But most of the time, people didn't call them anything. They didn't have to. There wasn't a debate about whether the rules were real. People assumed there were consequences to pretending that you were God. They thought Sodom and Gomorrah were real places. They were destroyed for disobedience. They imagined the same thing could happen to them. Not anymore. Rick Levine doesn't worry about being punished by forces he can't see. He knows he's in charge. He makes the rules. He sets the limits. Reality is what he says it is. That's his view, and he shares it with virtually everybody else in a position of authority in the United States. That's a pretty bold bet, really. For 7 million years, human beings have believed one thing, presumably based on some evidence. Around 2015, they became convinced of something completely different. Are they right? It feels like we're going to find out soon.
Well, Michelle, let me get your thoughts. What do you think of Tucker's analysis or presentation about Millie and whatever her name is?
Well, I still say it's Richard.
Oh, okay.
But you know, that's the woman in me that just doesn't subscribe to him being a female. I'm sorry. His DNA says otherwise, so you know.
He would never do to me what a woman would normally
Do for
do.
you.
Yeah,
That's
no,
right. That's right.
I don't care how much lipstick.
No,
You can put a lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig, right?
that's a Palin. Yeah,
It's
that's
still-
right. It's
still a pig.
That's right. Sarah Palin's line. That's right.
Exactly.
Stands true today, especially today.
So what did you get out of what he was saying?
Well, you know, I just got to tell you, I am all about live and let live. What you do behind closed doors is your business. You know, I guess you would say that I'm more of what some would, I'm considered conservative in fiscal policies when it comes to certain things like this. I'm more of a libertarian mindset. I don't want to control what you do in your own home. I just believe that when you start bringing children, which his policies in the role that he's in, affects us as a community, as parents, sisters and brothers, things, we're talking kids here. And so when you start talking about pushing an agenda on our children, that's where you cross a line. And in his role, it's very dangerous because that's what he subscribes to. He subscribes to the, what I call mutilation of a child, and also anything to do with a biological chemical change in a child. And that's dangerous to me. It's very dangerous.
Well, he talked about, in one of the pieces there, about so happy about June being Pride Month.
Mm-hmm. Now he's calling summer of pride.
Now he wants a summer of Pride.
Right.
And why not make every month Pride Month?
Right.
And just gross us out all day long, every day. It's really getting ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you from having friends who are gay or bisexual,
Right.
As we all know,
Mhm.
somebody.
Absolutely.
I'm sure your Uncle George is a little bit weird. That's all. We all grew up with that. We understand that, and
Right.
we know they're different. We love them. We're
Still, still
it's-
love him. Don't judge him.
Exactly.
But-
But when there are lines that are crossed,
Right.
and I can tell you that the friends that I have that are lean that way, they're not happy what is happening.
No.
They are seeing so much of the good work that has come to be able to accept that way of life, except in a way that, of just letting them be, making people who basically would not care become to the point where now they just don't want to see it.
Right.
They're destroying anything that has a rainbow on it. Like, when did the rainbow belong to them now?
Right,
Rainbows was a beautiful
absolutely.
thing.
Right.
When you see a rainbow now, you'll immediately think, what are they trying to push now? What are they doing to
Exactly.
me now? What do they want to do? What do they want to do with my kid? So I never associated homosexuality really into trying to program or deprogram or reprogram my kids to want to think one way or another, and forcing parents or sneaking information behind the parents' back in
That's right.
schools.
That's right.
But guys like this, like Lady Richard,
Mm-hmm.
that we've been looking at here, is exactly the people that are being put in position to influence by the Biden administration,
That's right.
put in such a way that that what they say becomes the truth, trying to get people to look up to these people.
Mm-hmm.
That, a few years ago, nobody would even pay attention to these people.
No.
Nobody would even allow them to dress the way they dress in public. As far as in an official government post, I think that we're really starting to live in bizarre land,
I agree. I agree.
Now, Tucker said something very interesting in his presentation, in his writings. He said that Billy and Richard are today two grown men
Mm-hmm.
that are dressing as women. He's basically described them both. They were both in college together,
Right.
and that they're both transsexuals.
Yes, so they transition late in life, late in their adult years.
We all know about Richard because
Right.
it's obvious.
Right.
No, nobody knows about Millie.
No, I haven't seen that at all.
That's General Millie.
Mhm.
That's, what is his post again? General is
Joint Chief.
Joint Chief. So the Joint Chief
Yeah.
is a transsexual?
That's what he was implying in that
And-
analysis.
And Tucker doesn't make a mistake like that.
No,
That's
he
not a
does not.
mistake.
No,
He
I don't think
knows-
so either.
Exactly. And if we look at the policies, and that's the problem. I prefer Richard because he's dressing as a woman.
Mhm.
He's telling you he's a woman,
Right.
or he
Well,
thinks he is. but
right.
He has a right to say what he could be. An African warlord, just like he says, you can be whatever you want to be,
Sure.
But you can say that. The whole world is basically Mardi Gras, just dress up as you want. But at least he's showing us, what's
Who
in
he
his head.
is and what he, yep.
But
that's
General
right.
Milley is still wearing his man face, his man outfit, his military outfit. But the policies that are happening in the military are weakening the military,
Yes.
and this is maybe something that he has found out, and he's putting it out there because it was very subtle. Some people did not hear that part.
Yes, yes.
I know you didn't hear it the first time.
I did not the first time, I sure didn't.
And it's like, wow, you're actually telling me that these two guys, former guys, I still think they're guys, back in college, are at the top of their profession. One is dressed as a woman, in a position of influence,
Right, both of them hold great influence in their positions in the,
and now he's running
In
the
the government,
military,
so.
and he's running the military, and he is, and look at the fiascos that the military from Afghanistan withdrawal and everything else.
absolutely.
Are we being told that this is the people that we cannot, that they're, what they are doing, what they have done, the mistakes they have done, is it go back to, that doesn't make sense, because everybody has a right to make a mistake. But we're talking about a major Afghanistan blunder. Milley was right in the midst of it.
Right, right.
So,
And how many United States men and women who served our country admirably were lost in
Exactly.
that, were lost.
there's another point I saw near the end where he basically left an opening, Tucker left an opening, in saying that it's just the beginning of what we're about to find out. There's more coming.
Oh, I think so too.
What do you think he was talking about?
Well, again, like you said, his policies as a Joint Chief of Staff and, making those policies over the military, he has actually made it to where his beliefs have really taken more of a precedence than what we would normally see in someone who would be overseeing certain elements, and we're not considered really in wartime anymore. But we are looking at some major events overseas, with Ukraine, Russia, of course, China. I mean, we are no longer the dominant force that we used to be under the previous administration. We're just not. We're considered weak now. And, of course, I would say as a female that, the projection is that we need to be a little bit more docile, a little bit more, kind of like the more subtle approach of what he's doing with the military. I think that's what he's projecting onto the way it's run now versus the way it was before, where it was more of the not, I wouldn't say necessarily a manly approach, but just more of the forceful, dominant, strong, powerful approach.
But
And that's gone.
if you're in a war, you want the enemy to fear you.
Right, right.
How is the enemy going to fear me if I'm if I'm a Marine wearing lipstick, born a
Exactly.
man wearing lipstick,
Exactly.
wearing a dress, and maybe holding in, I don't know, AK-40, well, whatever, M16. Really? I mean, I don't understand, and I do understand the reports that we're getting. It's our military, and I've got personal reports because I've been often to Camp Lejeune in that area, and I have seen, spoken to military, of course, off the record, young men who said, this is not the Marines I joined up to be. This is not what I expected. We're not prepared.
Right.
And we're not going to know if we're prepared
No.
unless we actually go to war. And what are the options? Russia, China? Yeah, we could probably take Panama in 3 days. Who cares?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's not the wars that we've been fighting in
No.
the past. World War I, World War II. We those men died because to save the freedom,
Exactly.
but not the freedom to convert our military into something that is unrecognizable and weak.
Right.
And so
And
I
that's
think
it.
exactly. And I think Tucker's message, by just saying that these two people have transitioned, is an eye-opener to what could be the reason why the military is leaned that way. Now, we know that the
agree.
Bidens, as corrupt, not only financially corrupt, but mentally and emotionally and morally, especially morally corrupt they are, have been pushing the support of trans by including recently Mrs. Biden, the woman we should sue because she knows what state the mind her husband is and still let him run
Exactly.
and run again.
Right.
You know, so that's the woman that needs to be, in court right now to kind of explain. That's called treason when you have someone that bad, in that state, allow them to run? No. A guy that if it was my grandfather, I wouldn't let him drive a car,
That's right.
so why would I even let him run for president? But I regress. The point is that she, on International Women's Day, gave the award to a Brazilian transsexual.
Yes, yes.
So I'd like to ask you, as a woman, because I know what a woman is.
Yeah. That's right.
I went to biology class. I
That's
figured
right.
it out. Where are the women's organizations that have been fighting for women's rights, for equal pay, for all of these things?
That's right.
While the women are being erased in sports,
Right.
in category, in bathrooms, what's left?
Absolutely. Well, even in beauty pageants, I mean, we're looking at, right now, I honestly, I don't remember the state, but we just had a transgender win a state title, and that person is, hoping to be the next Miss USA, to be able to then go for the Miss Universe pageant. And when I saw that in the news, I was like, not just saying that in particular, but that was almost like the cherry on the top there. We are completely taking women away from everything. You can, like we were talking about earlier with Sarah Palin, you can put lipstick on a pig and it's still a pig. You can put lipstick and hair extensions and, hormones, and take the hormones and have all of these operations to try to make yourself, as female as possible, but you are still a man. Your DNA says you're a man. We've seen it on Dylan Mulvaney with the Bud Light. I mean, it just as that example, he's a man. He's a man dressed up as a woman. And the feminists on the left are silent. I mean, they have gone completely silent on this.
Well, more than that.
Actually have supported
More
the
than that,
transgender
because-
movement.
But you look at the women's soccer team,
Yes.
our women's soccer team, which is made up probably, I would say, 80% lesbians maybe. But they're out there saying, we support, trans women in sports. I don't care who they are.
No.
There's no reason for that. So I think Tucker's messaging this time was really to highlight how crazy it has gotten.
I agree.
And the fact that nobody, no journalism, no newspaper, nobody brings it out, that this is pure lunacy. And this is maybe another example of why maybe Fox News was pressured, if they didn't make the decision on their own, to get their number one star out. So what we are doing with Analyzing Tucker is getting you to look for Tucker's what he does once or twice a week if he's not on vacation. Go to Twitter and find Tucker's messages, and the writing is great, the stories are great, and they're worth it. Now, we're going to analyze them. We're going to try to make it more understandable, or at least to us.
Right.
And if this you find interesting or entertaining, you can watch Analyzing Tucker on Conservative Television of America, where you'll find Michelle,
CTA.
CTA, Michelle Thought, and Claude Mancuso having a little fun with Tucker's analysis and joining Tucker in the fun that he has. And sometimes it's not fun. Some of his topics are really hard,
They really are.
and we'll be there to discuss them. Any last word?
No, I think you covered it quite well. And I guess the old saying, James Brown says, it's a man's world. I guess he's right now, isn't he?
It's all we got left is men, women who think they're men, and women who are afraid to say it. Something's wrong with
That's
that.
right.
I like women. Bye-bye.